They say some people are hard to forget, not because of who they are, but because of the version of ourselves we believed we could become when we were with them. Jay Gatsby is one of those people, a man whose entire existence is built not on reality, but on longing for love, for status, for identity, for a dream that was never meant to come true. The Great Gatsby isn't a love story. It's not even a story about wealth. It is a story about the human desire to rewrite our own past, to become someone worthy of admiration, someone extraordinary, someone unforgettable, even if it destroys us. The novel is told by Nick Carraway, a man who observes more than he participates. And maybe that's why he sees Gatsby more clearly than anyone else. From the moment Nick moves into the small house next to Gatsby's mansion, he becomes a witness to a world built on illusion, lavish parties, glittering lights, champagne, laughter, music, and hundreds of strangers who don't even know Gatsby, yet feel entitled to his generosity. But what makes Gatsby different is not the wealth, it's what the wealth hides. Nick slowly begins to realize that behind Gatsby's smile is a man who is painfully alone. Behind the mansion is a boy who once had nothing. Behind the confidence is someone terrified of being ordinary. And behind the parties is a simple, devastating truth. Gatsby created all of this for a woman who barely remembers who he used to be, Daisy Buchanan. To understand Gatsby, you must understand Daisy, not as a symbol, not as an ideal, but as a person shaped by privilege, fear, indecision, and weakness. Gatsby met Daisy when he was young, poor, and invisible. Daisy, bored and sheltered, saw in him a spark. Ambition, passion, potential. But Gatsby was not ready, not yet. He went to war. She married Tom Buchanan, a man made of old money, arrogance, and entitlement. A man who doesn't love Daisy deeply, but possesses her like an expensive item in his collection. So Gatsby spends the next 5 years doing the impossible. He reinvents himself. He rises from nothing. He becomes wealthy, powerful, mysterious. He builds a life so extraordinary that Daisy can't ignore him. But the tragedy is already in motion. Gatsby isn't chasing Daisy the person. He's chasing Daisy the memory, the version of her he froze in time. The girl who kissed him once and made him believe he could be someone greater. How do you compete with a memory? How do you love someone you've turned into a dream? How do you return to a moment that has already passed? Gatsby never asks these questions because he cannot afford to. His entire identity depends on one belief, that Daisy will come back to him. Nick sees this early on. He watches Gatsby stare at the green light at the end of Daisy's dock, night after night, a green light that represents possibility, hope, longing, and everything just out of reach. It is the perfect symbol for the American dream, bright enough to chase, distant enough to never touch. Gatsby believes that if he can repeat the past, everything will be perfect. Nick tells him, "You can't repeat the past." And Gatsby responds, "Why, of course you can. But can you? Have you ever tried to bring back a moment, a feeling, a relationship that had already ended? Did it work? Or did it only remind you that time moves forward and doesn't wait for anyone?" Gatsby's mansion becomes a temple of hope built on denial. His parties, his tailored suits, his extravagant lifestyle, all of it exists to attract Daisy. But Daisy is no longer the girl he remembers. She is married, comfortable, and terrified of change, and Gatsby refuses to see it. When Daisy and Gatsby finally reunite, their chemistry is undeniable, but something is off. Gatsby tries to pick up exactly where they left off. Daisy can't. Gatsby wants perfection. Daisy wants safety. Gatsby wants the past. Daisy wants the present. Gatsby wants a love story. Daisy wants a life without consequences. And then there is Tom Buchanan, who is unfaithful, arrogant, and hypocritical, yet still holds the real power. Because in the world, Fitzgerald describes, "Old money always wins. Influence always wins. The rules were never designed for dreamers." Gatsby's love for Daisy is sincere, but naive Tom's love for Daisy is shallow, but convenient. Daisy's love for Gatsby is emotional, but fragile. It collapses the moment reality challenges it. This becomes clear during the confrontation at the Plaza Hotel. Gatsby asks Daisy to say she never loved Tom. Daisy can't, or won't, or is too afraid to. Gatsby's dream shatters. Not because Daisy doesn't love him, but because she cannot live up to the perfect version he created. Have you ever loved someone so intensely that you refuse to see their imperfections? Have you ever held on to a fantasy long after reality disproved it? Have you ever wanted something so badly that you ignored every sign telling you to let go? Gatsby does exactly that, and it leads to his downfall. The tragedy accelerates when Myrtle Wilson, the woman Tom is having an affair with, is killed in a hit and run. Daisy is driving Gatsby's car. Daisy hits Myrtle. Daisy doesn't stop, and Gatsby takes the blame, not because he's guilty, but because he cannot imagine a future where Daisy is punished. He chooses to sacrifice everything for her. Would you do that for someone? Should anyone do that for someone? Gatsby waits outside Daisy's house all night to ensure Tom doesn't hurt her. She never comes outside, never checks on him, never asks if he's okay. The next day, while Gatsby floats in his pool, refusing to accept that the dream is dead, George Wilson, driven mad by grief and manipulated by Tom, comes to kill him. Gatsby dies, believing he would have protected Daisy forever. Daisy, meanwhile, leaves town without sending a message, a flower, or a goodbye. Nick, the only one who truly cared, arranges the funeral. Almost no one comes. The hundreds who enjoyed Gatsby's parties disappear. The people who used him forget him. Even Daisy stays silent. Gatsby dies the way he lived, lonely, misunderstood, and dreaming until the very end. So what is The Great Gatsby really about? It's about the danger of idealizing the past. It's about the illusions we build when reality isn't enough. It's about the American dream, how it promises everything and delivers nothing. It's about class, privilege, and the invisible hierarchies that determine who wins and who loses. It's about wanting so desperately to be extraordinary that you destroy the ordinary joys you already had. But above all, it's about the way human beings chase love, success, and identity, not for what they are, but for what we imagine they could make us become. Gatsby wasn't in love with Daisy. He was in love with the version of himself he became when he believed she loved him. So now let me leave you with a question, not about Gatsby, but about you. Do you think Gatsby was destroyed by Daisy, or by the dream he created in her place?